So, more and more now that I am a late diagnosed autistic ADHD woman in my 30s, I am starting to realize that I'm most likely moderate support needs. So, I am somebody who validates and promotes self-diagnosis in the terms that self-diagnosis has to fall within the criteria for the DSM-5, and I also think that self-diagnosis is valid in cases where accessibility resources are not available to those, and for more internal and relationship betterment and improvement, self-diagnosis can be really valid in those ways. So for me though, when I say that I'm most likely moderate support needs autism, I'm in no way trying to promote that we start to self-diagnose different levels, but this is something I want to bring about into more discussion, because with autism TikTok especially is that we see very black and white, polar opposite spectrums of the spectrum. And we tend to only see a lot of white, low support needs, autistic people saying one thing, or we have the caregivers and high support needs on autistic individuals on the other side of the spectrum. And I rarely see any moderate support needs on autism TikTok talking about their experiences. I'm going to go ahead and try to provide as much resources as well as some other autistic creators that I'm friends with and that I follow on here that have talked a little bit more with support needs. And in general, this is probably going to be a few videos that I am really interested in doing, so that we could start to gain more attention and more representation within different levels, as well as the diversity and the cultural backgrounds within these different levels. So when I was diagnosed, or officially diagnosed with autism, in my state, they didn't give me a specific level, or they didn't tell me what support needs that I would fall under. And being that I am highly verbal and I have a full-time job, and in a way I feel like I live independently, I categorize myself as low support needs autistic. However, once I started to really start unmasking and started to experience a lot of skill regression because of my unmasking and becoming more involved within autistic communities and autism TikTok, and having a lot of friends now that are autistic as well as other types of neurodiversities or neurotypes, it was very clear to me that my idea of what low support needs wasn't the clearest picture, or it was very narrow. And a lot of my experiences and what I experienced versus what other low support needs autistic people that I've seen so far experience did not match. And it's really funny because when I was talking to all of my moderate support needs autistic friends, and it was very much like this meme where I was like coming to this realization because I had talked to my husband, and I was like, oh, it was because one of my other friends, he pointed out and he asked me, like, what level are you, or what were you diagnosed with? And I was like, I don't know. I think I'm just low support needs. And he's like, no, Janella, I think your moderate support needs, like all the things that you experience, how you react, levels of emotional overload that you get into, as well as some other areas that we've talked about, you seem to be experiencing moderate support needs. And when he told me that, I like broke down in tears, not because of having that level or that support need given to me or said to me from a close friend, but that it was like a realization and again a validation of the actual challenges that I've always experienced, but that I've had to either internalize or that I've had to try to figure out on my own because I didn't have any support or I didn't have the resources. But now that I've had my own resources, financial things, as well as some support even for my husband, I'm still experiencing these states of very big skill regression, as well as some other challenges that maybe low support needs autistic people don't really encounter or don't struggle with as much as moderate support needs autistic people do. And so when I told this to my friends who are moderate support needs, they were all like, I thought you already knew that you were moderate support needs. This whole time I thought you were moderate support needs. It's surprising that you said that you're low support needs. And I was like, I never got a level, or I never got a support needs given to me. So I just assumed that I was low support needs. Also, the other reason as to why I want to talk more about support needs and to give more attention and representation when it comes to support needs in general and for the autism community is that because the low support needs autistics, as well as the caregivers and the high support needs autism, are the representations that we see the most of now in the community, and very much so it's like white, low, or high support needs autism. It's really hard for all these other representations that are of people who are on the spectrum to be taken seriously and to be validated for those experiences because of the lack of representation. So I am not saying that I am the representation for moderate support needs or any of that. I'm saying I would like to start to see more of this representation, and I would like to, in a sense, start this discussion, or to start hopefully having more acceptance when it comes to different support levels. Because what I've also seen from within the community itself, and has made me very upset and disappointed, especially when it comes to kind of both sides of these polar opposite communities, or these not polar opposite, but polar parts of the spectrum of low support needs and high support needs, is that when we see one representation, like say low support needs autistic people talking about their experiences, high support needs and the caregivers of that community say you're not autistic, you don't experience these same levels of challenges that autistic people in general feel and experience. And then the low support needs autistic community, an example that I want to bring again attention to because they're a close friend of mine, is Sienna. And when Sienna just did a video of them flapping, there were so many low support needs autistic people and just people in general who were shaming them because of their very clear autistic traits that they were exemplifying. And it was trying to say that that person is too autistic, or that they're showing sides of them that shouldn't be shown, and because it skews or it damages the images of autistic people. And I've never understood this part of the community where we're so specific in who's supposed to represent autistic people. And yes, I and myself have my opinions when it comes to how we should be talking about these representations. I mostly am upset, and I don't like seeing the generalizations of autism, because these generalizations make it harder for these different types of representations to be accepted, to be made more aware, and to be understood as part of the spectrum. I'm going to do more videos on this and hopefully give more context to the different support needs and what that means. But support needs, and as far as if you've been diagnosed specifically from a clinician on a support level, we're not going to try to, at least me, I'm not going to say that you don't meet this level or you meet a higher level if your clinician diagnoses you with a certain one, because in different areas and different clinicians, it varies, right? But this, I do want to see more discussion, and I would love to see, again, more nuance brought to this part of the community.